Welcome to Dharma Dialogues, a children's podcast series on the Yaksha Prashnam, a wise and wonderful dialogue from the Mahabharata. Just a little something to keep in mind as you listen to these stories. We tell these stories to spark reflection, not to give strict answers.
These stories are told with love and respect from the Hindu tradition, with guidance from elders in our community. Anyone can listen, learn, and even interpret the stories in their own way. All we hope is for young minds to grow in curiosity, courage, and compassion.
As we are learning and growing with you, any mistakes along the way are completely unintentional. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or feedback.
Now, on to the episode.
Welcome back to Dharma Dialogues, my little ones. This is episode 13, and today we will continue our journey into the Kshatriya's code. Can you hear the wind in the trees? Imagine the forest again. The same cool, still waters of the lake. The same rustling leaves. Yudhisthira stands calmly, his hands folded, as the Yaksha gazes at him with knowing eyes. In our last conversation, we spoke about the divinity of the Kshatriya, how their weapons are sacred because they protect dharma, justice, and the safety of all living beings. But today, the Yaksha wishes to go deeper.
O Yudhisthira, tell me, what is the pious practice of a Kshatriya?
I remember that word, pious, from the previous topic about Brahmins. It means doing good deeds and having good qualities, right? When the Yaksha asks about pious practices for Kshatriyas or kings and rulers, what does he mean? Maybe it's being fair when you rule or treating people kindly? That would be pious, right?
That's a very good guess. Kindness and fairness are important for everyone. But Yudhishthira's answer pointed to a very specific practice, one that only a Kshatriya could perform in the ancient world. He said,
The pious practice of a Kshatriya is performing sacrifices.
Sacrifices? Like giving away your things?
That's a thoughtful question. In ancient times, yajna or sacrifice was a very special kind of ritual. It was about offering and giving selflessly. For Kshatriyas, the great yajnas were a way to ensure the entire kingdom stayed in balance. Imagine a giant fire altar in the middle of the city. Priests chanting, people gathering, kings and queens making offerings, not just of ghee and grains, but of their own ego and pride. Have you heard of the Ashwamedha Yagam? A king would release a horse, and wherever the horse wandered, it was a way to test whether the neighboring lands would live peacefully together or challenge for war. But the horse was also a symbol of surrender. The king wasn't showing off his power. He was demonstrating his responsibility. Only a true Kshatriya, who ruled justly, could complete such a sacrifice.
So it's like their way of saying, I don't rule for myself, but for the good of everyone.
Exactly. That's why it's called a sacrifice. Because the Kshatriya sacrifices their selfishness. They don't just think about their own comfort, but they think about the whole world's welfare. Do you remember King Janaka? He was called a Raja Rishi, a king who was also a sage. He ruled wisely, but never held on to anything for himself. He performed yajnas regularly, not because he needed more wealth, but to remind himself to live for the good of all beings. Even Lord Rama, after defeating Ravana, performed an Ashwamedha Yajna to bring balance back to the world, not to celebrate victory, but to pray for harmony after war.
Wow, so a true leader has to be strong like a warrior, but soft like a sage?
That's right. But this is applicable not only to kings of the past, but also to anyone today who displays the Kshatriya-like qualities of protecting. Think of your own parents, who protect you and your family. Your parents make many sacrifices every day for the family. While they may not be as big as the sacrifices made by the kings and warriors of the past, they make sacrifices and give up many things. For example, They might sacrifice their free time after work to cook for you and your siblings. Or sometimes, they may have to leave work early to come pick you up from school when you're feeling sick.
That's true. They do sacrifice many things that they like doing just so that our family can live comfortably.
You've captured it perfectly. Our proverb for today is, "A sword defends the borders, but a sacrifice feeds the land." That's why the Kshatriya's code is not just about fighting, it's about service and humility. The fire altar teaches a ruler to burn away pride, just like ghee melts in the flame.
Do leaders today do sacrifices like that?
They may not perform yajnas with fire, but think about the leaders and protectors in your life. A teacher who stays late to help you understand something, that's a kind of sacrifice. A parent who works hard giving up their own rest so you can grow, that's also a type of sacrifice as we discussed earlier. Every time someone gives up a bit of their comfort for the good of others, they are performing the ancient act of sacrifice, even if there's no altar. As you go to sleep tonight, think about this. Who are the people in your life who make quiet sacrifices for you? How can you thank them? Or maybe, how can you do a small sacrifice yourself for someone else's happiness? We'll continue our journey into the Kshatriya's code next time. Until then, sleep well, dear ones.